girls, Fix It Friday again. Here we go. So today, another quick tip for hip flexor help with sweeps. So we have gone over first. What did we go over first? We first went over the glutes, the importance of your glutes and working those outside of training if you found that you had an imbalance there. So we did a test for that, and I gave you some exercises for that. Then we went over core and how to activate that properly, bringing your pelvic floor with it, because that's also part of your core. And this is a way that you can keep your pelvic floor and core strong on the mats by doing that certain technique and test that we did that week, which was just last Friday. So you can easily go back and see those. And then, so now today, I touched on a little bit last week, we're going to talk about pressure management. So this is the other thing. So hopefully by now you can see that help with hip flexors, with sweeps, or help with, whatever pain during whatever technique. There's not always just a simple, oh, just do this. There's a lot of things to consider. There's a lot of things to look at. And sometimes we need to consider all the pieces before we say, yep, that's what's going to help you. So what I'm trying to do here is to show you all the pieces, and you're going to find the piece that works best for you. And, maybe you were cool with your glutes, but you found your core was something that was kind of like not activating for you when you did them. So the other thing that is a huge thing for core is how you manage your pressures. And what I mean by that is when you, when we have pressure on us with our partners pressuring in on us, knee on belly, or just side control, or we're creating our own pressures by trying to pull off a sweep or a submission, which means this area here, what are we doing with this area when we're doing that technique that's giving us trouble for whatever reason? So this is another piece to consider. What is happening here when you're doing that thing that bothers you? So today we're talking about the hip flexor with the sweep. So what I'm going to challenge you to do is, and it kind of goes along with activating the core, but I'm going to have you zero in on your pain point and when that's happening in the sweep. So consider yourself, technically doing it well. So you have your partner close to you, you have them trapped, you're under, and I'm just using a butterfly sweep because it's an easy way to demonstrate this. So I'll go over what you can do in other sweeps in a minute. So you're here, you're posting, and you go. And let's say this is the part of your roll where you're really driving into that hip flexor and it's giving you trouble. So you're rolling over, and at that moment, I'm going to challenge you, when that pain point hits, just prior to it, hopefully, you're going to actually blow out and actually breathe out, managing that pressure here so you're not like that. So as soon as you do the, it's harder for your core to activate, and you may drive into that hip flexor more. So that might be another thing that you are being challenged with that you'll want to try to incorporate. So you can try this too. All right, so you're here, you're locked in, you're underhooking, you're solid here, you plant and you go. And before you do your lifting with your partner, you're loading them up, and you're going to a breath when you do the loading up and the rolling over. So you're, and that's something you can practice that at home, and you can practice that with drilling with partners or learning your technique. So when you're learning the technique in class, it's a time to really focus on learning, right? It's a time to focus on what your body's doing, next steps that you can take. So from the side, what that looks like is you're trapped, you're underhooked, you're post, you're loading, and you're bringing them over like that. Play around with where the breath comes in. Maybe you want your breath to come in right away. Maybe you want your breath to come in later in the sweep when it's a little bit of a tougher point. If you're struggling, so you're here and you're here, maybe you're right away and then you go over. Or maybe you load them up, and then here is where you kick in your core a little deeper and breathe out to manage that pressure so your hip flexor doesn't take it, okay? So hopefully that helps. If you try this in other sweeps and it's not working for you, message me, and that would be something that I can go over. I can go over separate techniques, separate sweeps. You know, guillotine choke is another one. If you think about that, and you're reaching under, you're grabbing, and you're here, but a lot of times you're here, wrapped around them. They're in your closed guard. You're here, and then so you're doing like this is basically an extensive core challenge when you're trying to pull off a choke. I mean, you're not elevated because you have them in your guard, but here, and then that finish, you really need to be controlling through here. So play around with the breathing and make sure you're letting your breath out and not. There are times where I would actually kind of have you practice a little bit of breath holding at certain times, but that would be a very, very fine-tuned thing that we'd have to work on individually with you, because that would be you sort of digging into certain really fine-tuning, because that's I don't want everybody trying to hold their breath. That's really not the point of this. But there are times where you can really kind of control your pelvic floor more if you give a little bit of a breath hold when you're under strain. And I have found that that's helpful as well for people that I work with. So today, hopefully that was helpful, you guys. And let me know if you were able to catch this on the replay. I would love to hear your feedback. And I thank you for all the ideas for the next time. We're going to do Fix It Friday every Friday, and those are quick tips. But on Tuesday, I'll also come on and show you, a little bit more in depth on some different things that you talked about. And I'm going to be doing, I posted on my personal profile that I'm going to be doing some free training pretty soon. And I asked for all kinds of ideas, and everybody actually came up with some really great ones. So I'm probably going to hit a free training on my personal profile, but I'll make sure you guys all know that that's happening. And just trying to get more ladies in our group so we can all support each other, and that would be super awesome. So that'll be free training on probably, a lot of it came in on core, pelvic floor, and hip, which is not a surprise because in our group we see that all the time, that everybody's having trouble with that stuff. So I want to make sure I help you out as much as I can with it. And I hope that everybody is practicing these things and your sweeps become more manageable with your hip flexor pain. I would love so much to hear how you guys are doing with this. If those of you who felt like your hip flexors were a pain for sweeps, if you've been putting any of this into practice, let me know how it's going. I would love to hear, or if it's not working, and then that would help me do another video on how to kind of fine tune some things for you, and maybe somebody else is having the same trouble. Okay, so go back and watch 1, 2, 3, and then you'll have your help with your hip flexors for all the things to consider. All right, you guys, have an awesome day. I love you guys. We'll see you soon. Bye.